I don't know about you, but if there's one state I've always dreamed of being, it's prolific. A prolific creator outputs a ton of work, and as someone who believes in the idea that quantity leads to quality, a ton of output means a good amount of quality work. Picasso is probably one of the best examples in art, and of course when it comes to music, Mozart was incredibly prolific. But we don't always achieve that ideal state of just outputting brilliant piece after brilliant piece. So why is that? A lot of the time, it comes down to some sort of resistance or friction. So what do I mean by friction? For our purposes here, we're defining friction as anything that slows down your work or gets in the way of your productivity or creativity. It could be physical, it could be mental, but mostly we're going to talk about teeny tiny changes that might not make much difference on their own, but when you deal with enough of them together, you'll find yourself outputting more work than you ever thought you could before. So in this video, I'll talk about 3 ways to deal with friction, so we can help you get closer to the prolific artist you're aspiring to be. I'm calling them the 3 R's: remove, reduce, and reroute. By the way, I put together a website summarizing the main points here, so check for a link to it in the description. Many of these changes will seem pretty obvious, but that's usually only the case after you've realized the friction was there in the first place. And I'm bringing you this as someone with dozens of hours of music courses, on my way to 200 videos on YouTube, and several thousand pieces of music registered on ASCAP. But even I still catch myself finding moments of friction that I haven't dealt with all the time. Let's start with reroute, which means to find another way around. And I'll use an example I just dealt with a few weeks ago. As you can see, I have these ultra-wide monitors on my desk, which are awesome, but they also obviously take up quite a bit of room. My audio interface with the volume knob for my studio monitors is too big to fit underneath. So I've tried having it over here, I've had it behind the monitors, but reaching behind to control the volume has been super awkward and uncomfortable. So I have to kind of like awkwardly reach around, turn up the headphone volume. It's annoying. And then I still have to remember to turn the main studio monitors off, turn the main volume down, or I'll accidentally be wearing headphones while blasting music to the rest of the house. It's not a huge deal, but it's a hassle. So it finally occurred to me to solve this. I bought this dedicated volume knob that actually fits perfectly under my monitors, so it's within arm's reach. And so now I can switch to headphones with the push of a button without having to adjust all the volume knobs every time. I know this might seem trivial and whatever, but again, when enough of these insignificant changes add up, it becomes meaningful. And if you're wondering, why didn't you fix that sooner? I was just used to it. It was friction, adding a slight annoyance and hindrance to my workflow that I was just dealing with. So how many of those do you have? And how many of them could you fix if you just took a moment to slow down and notice what was happening? So that is rerouting, finding another way around or another solution to get the same thing done. Next, let's talk about removing friction. The difference here is that instead of finding another way around, we're just going to get rid of the obstruction completely. A good example of this is a robust template. Have you ever thought about how much time you spend setting up instruments, adjusting reverbs, maybe even EQing, compressing for the same instruments you use over and over? That's the whole point of a template. With the click of a button, I have the majority of the instruments I use, the majority of the time, immediately up and running, ready to go. I almost always start composing at the piano. So when I open a new session in Logic, I am already on a piano instrument with reverb set. The screen is zoomed in exactly where I want it. I've got an 8-bar loop set up. I even have markers for common times I need to hit with my production music. I've removed as much friction as I can that would slow me down when I'm just ready to get to work. When I want to write, I just start writing. You could definitely go too far with templates and end up with these 1,000-track monstrosities that would probably introduce new layers of friction. My template is pretty streamlined and really has the heart of what I need. The final method to overcome friction is reduce. Sometimes you can't just make the friction go away, and you can't find another way around. The best you can do is make it tolerable. For many people, 2 major points of friction are the blank page and knowing what to do next. The best way I found to reduce creative friction is to keep in mind the mantra, if the specific decision doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter what decision you make. Does it matter what key I'm in? If not, then why would I spend any time stressing about it? G minor? Sure. Just pick a key and move on. Does it matter what my opening chords are? If not, pick some chords, and move on. You can and will always come back and change and adjust things. That's fine. But by keeping yourself moving forward, keeping yourself in a constant flow of momentum, your output will keep up as well. I wrote the script for this video exactly with this method. I started at the beginning, just acted like I was already reading it out loud. And then only after I reached the phrase, "Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one," did I go back and make any adjustments or changes. And what happened in this case is the same thing that happens every time, which is that it turns out there weren't really that many changes I needed to make. Elaine Mayran from Score Club puts it an even better way. Make a decision and go with it. Write that down on a sticky note or something and stick it on your monitor if you have to. Make a decision and go with it. Because when it comes to mental or creative friction, this is going to change your life. I could give you plenty more examples of removing, reducing, rerouting friction. I think you get the point. Rather than watch a longer video, how about you get to work? Or otherwise, you'll never be prolific. And every time you catch the slightest bit of resistance or something slows you down, don't let it go. Fix it as soon as possible. And after enough teeny small tweaks, you'll be smooth sailing all the way to a level of output you've only dreamed of. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.